So what about purpose? I think purpose, okay, obviously we know that every company in the world have their own purpose. Basically is what it stands for and the positioning that the company might have. But for me, purpose must be embedded on the strategy. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is MARISIA, GIORGI. I came from retail, food retail business. In my past life, I used to work in an energy sector. Right now, I'm working with a company, a Portuguese company, so welcome all to Portugal. And we have stores in Poland, Portugal, of course, and Colombia. The company has 1,035 employees, and I'm glad to be here and to share the stage with my colleagues and to talk a little bit about purpose, because it's a hot topic and a fundamental one. So,
thank you, Marisa. And yeah, indeed, good to be here. I'm Stephanie WERNER-DIETZ. I'm heading the HR for ARCELORMITTAL. ARCELORMITTAL is a steel and mining company. It's about 140,000 employees in more than 60 countries. The size of the business is about 70 billion revenue, so it's quite large and distributed around the world. And I had been in the CHRO role for 2 years, and before I had been CHRO role for Nokia. And in Nokia, actually, I was kind of born and raised, I like to say, because I spent almost 25 years there, but now I'm with ARCELORMITTAL. So I'm happy to talk about purpose in ARCELORMITTAL and in general with you today. Thanks. Anthony.
Okay, Anthony HUYGHEBAERT. I'm heading HR for BARCO. BARCO is a Belgian company, technology, visualization technology, and we are active in really broad industries. So we have a projection or entertainment division. If you go to the cinema, 2 chances out of the 3, it's a BARCO projector showing the movie. Also projection for entertainment, immersive experience, digital art. I'm afraid the projector there is not a BARCO. You see it on the quality of the image. Other things we do is the click share technology, for the ones who should know it, also control room solutions. And finally, we also have healthcare displays for radiology, surgery displays. So very broad range, and you will see when speaking about purpose, it's quite a complex topic for BARCO.
Purpose, what does it mean?
Can I go ahead? So what about purpose? I think purpose, okay, obviously we know that every company in the world have their own purpose. Basically is what it stands for and the positioning that the company might have. But for me, purpose must be embedded on the strategy. So there's no strategy, there's no prioritization of investments without purpose. It's something that must guide us in the long-term run, so in the long-term goals, and not something that we have to address in the short term. And it will foster the culture within the organization. So it's a common language. It's the reason why we wake up every morning and go to the work, because it's something that we identify with, and basically I would say that is the reason why the company exists, and think in the future in the perspective of business continuity. I don't know what you think, but for me it's this.
Yeah, same actually here. And in ARCELORMITTAL, we're very purpose-driven, I would say. About, I think in 2021, we unveiled a new purpose. And actually, it's not so much a new purpose, because we really tried from within to identify what are we driven by, why are we here. So the purpose is smarter steel for people and planet. And for me, that really kind of communicates the essence why we exist. And that's so important, because you build that meaning, that correlation to why are we here, why are we doing this, to really have a bit more stronger connection to our employees, stronger fulfillment, but also show what is our bigger contribution out there. So we want to fulfill this quest for meaning, actually, with the purpose. And the purpose, smarter steel for people and planet, is almost like a tagline. It's easy to remember, but the narrative behind it was so important for us. And the narrative is really about smarter steel, and that refers to our products, steel, a steel that should be of high quality, that should be produced in a low decarbonization way, right? Steel that really fulfills the expectations of our customers. And, but it's not only about having smarter steel, it's also about the technology you use, the know-how, how you produce steel, and that we need to innovate constantly to make sure that we have the right technologies in use. And people and planet just refers to our responsibility that we have, not just to fulfill the needs of people for steel in infrastructure, in automobiles, in logistics, you name it, construction, where we use steel, but also our responsibility to the planet. And that's why, for us, it brings it completely together. Why are we here for as a steel company? And steel, which I actually didn't even know before I joined the company, it's actually a beautiful material. You can recycle it endlessly. And you to really think about what we're doing and how we that way also contribute to the CO2 footprint in the world and how to reduce that. And I can tell you, I guess, like cement, like steel, these are very high energy, high CO2 emission production ways, so we can make a high contribution. It's a fantastic opportunity. So for us, the purpose really brings that all together. And that's why it's so important to us to live that purpose and have that fully embedded in our organization.
Well, of course, BARCO is also purpose-driven. I wouldn't sit here, I believe, if it was not the case. The big issue is what purpose? What purpose for BARCO? I give a couple of examples. I just mentioned we are active in the entertainment, projection, cinema industry. For those organizations, it's very easy. The purpose is entertaining the world, entertaining the people. However, we also have diagnostic imaging business unit specialized in radiology for breast cancer. It's a totally different concept and totally different purpose. That's saving lives. That's their purpose. I can even give an example of one of my colleagues who retired. He decided to join BARCO and to dedicate his entire career to diagnostic imaging because his mother, when he was a teenager, passed away from cancer. And this was really so strong, the purpose of that organization, that motivated him to really continue and dedicate his entire professional career to BARCO. So, yeah, that's the difficulty. What would be then the one BARCO purpose? We have also a branding slogan or one-liner. It's visioneering for the future. From vision, technology, engineering, visioneering for the future. But this is appealing only for a small part of the population of BARCO, notably the R&D population. So we also got the feedback from our employees via the engagement surveys. We miss this purpose. We need it. The result is that we, after thinking about it, we decided to implement a concept of a North Star. And the North Star is, for BARCO, now sustainable growth. First reaction of people, sustainable growth, sustainable bottom line, healthy margins, growth top line, very financial. We have to see it from the other side. Of course, it's important, but the key word is sustainable, sustainability, green, future fit from an ecological point of view. And we have this also translated in our KPIs and our objectives in our short-term incentive plans, etc. It's the CO2 emission of BARCO, but also the green labeled products. We have a mandatory percentage of products that's exiting our factories that need to be green labeled. And each year it's more and more. And this purpose is now really embedded also in the company, not only important for the employees, but also very important for investors, analysts, etc.
Yes, I will add something because at Jerónimo Martins, our purpose, of course, is to provide high-quality products to our customers, but at the same time, while we take care of the community that surrounds us. So it seems simple, but it's very, very hard to do it. Because, of course, you want to value and to invest in initiatives that can reach the community that surround you. I'll give you an example. We have a contest that calls Happy Neighborhood. And in each stores, our employees and our customers can choose among 2 initiatives to support. And the company provides some funds to make these initiatives come true. So it's more than a statement. It's the way you act and the way you live the purpose within the company and the way it is reflect and resonate to your customers. And we are talking about credibility, create a very strong connection with the community that you are dealing with.
I think there's a lot there to summarize, but I guess what I just heard particularly strongly is that purpose is something that isn't a one and done and then you just expect it to just exist there and have its own way, if that makes sense, right? It feels like you have to regularly revisit it, stress test it, adapt it, but also bring it to life by the sounds of that, right? So there are representations, manifestations, campaigns, activities, reframing, reminders, links. I mean, you talked about a lot of occurrences of purpose, and I do wonder whether in business we kind of get a bit lost in the mechanics of it, and we sometimes forget that it's all for a purpose, unless we're very explicit about it. But I love the fact that what I think I've taken away from all of this is that your purpose is about the respect you have for the product, the service, the people, the environment. It's a way of manifesting that respect, isn't it? A sense of nobility even in what you're doing. Anthony, your example was a prime one there about from entertainment saving lives. I mean, that's a real spectrum, but it means different things for different people. But I think it's also this whole sense, and Stan would probably agree with this from this morning, that your culture would have to believe in it and agree with what your purpose is. The fact that we are sort of talking about it like that, your culture has to believe in it and agree with it, right? So I guess the next question that comes to mind is about perhaps some tensions that might arise. And by that, I guess it's when we have to make decisions and take some tough calls and so on, where we want to have purpose at the heart of it, but it feels like maybe we have to get practical, or dare I say it, financially led, and so on. So I'll put that to you now. Where might purpose create a tension or a conflict that isn't the kind of joyous and powerful force we've heard, but actually creates a bit of a head scratch, a bit of a pause, a bit of a dilemma, a bit of a challenge? I'll leave you with that one.
I can start. I think, first of all, the purpose really needs to be authentic. Huh? Otherwise, you don't have the credibility. It will just be, indeed, just a slogan, right? And it needs to be well articulated. It needs to be fully embedded into the organization. And for me, it also needs to be actionable. Otherwise, again, you know, it doesn't find its ground in the organization and in the culture. And when you do all this, you will also have a purpose that drives the strategic agenda. And then the strategic agenda means, you know, you have your mission, you have your vision, you know your past, you know your what, you know your how, and also the values, the how part kicks in, and it should be fully nicely aligned. And when you have that, you can be very convincing. That's really an enablement, that's an attraction for employees inside, especially if that goes hand in hand with their own values and their own purpose and they see correlation. That's really motivating for people, and it's also an attraction point to get people. But now I'm coming to the tension question. It also raises expectations, right, that you have to live up to. And employees, some tension could be, you have employees that really want to go faster and want to do something even stronger or whatever it could be. So you have to manage expectations at the same time. The purpose will remain, of course, your shiny North Star, and everything is aligned to it. But some want to go there quicker, right? They want to touch the North Star tomorrow. And others, and that's the other tension I can see sometimes, is if I stick to the ARCELORMITTAL example, the purpose, living the purpose means we have to have a team of talents that, you know, that grow, that have the right skills, that embrace the latest technology to fulfill and realize this purpose. And for some people that might raise the question, am I at threat? Or I heard nice examples of reskilling, and we need reskilling for that as well, or new skills. So there's also with that purpose and some of the existing workforce, there's also maybe a question mark here and there. What does that purpose mean? Even though they like the overall idea that they contribute to a higher meaning and the idea of the purpose as such, but the implication it can have, they're sometimes a little bit worried about. So I think it's also about managing the tensions and picking everybody up on this journey and make them understand the purpose is there, but it's good for everybody, and everybody finds their place. And what are we doing from the company side, from how we enable and support that from the HR side, that we take everybody on this journey as well. So these are some tensions I could sometimes see, and this is, I think it's important to not go there with closed eyes, but to realize that.
Purpose is change. Change is tension. And the pitfall, or what needs to be avoided, is the danger that purpose becomes a constraint. And I've given the example that at BARCO we have strict KPIs in terms of eco-labeled revenue, etc., etc., even in our short-term incentive plans. And there, the pitfall, and that we need to avoid, is that people are going to reach those targets because it's making part of the bonus plan and not for the purpose. So, yeah, we need to be aware about that danger and a clear pitfall to be avoided. Luckily, it's not yet the case, because there is really something living, and that's the main objective. But I wanted to highlight this kind of danger.
I really don't think that we have tensions with the purpose, because purpose for us is strategy, and we don't have tensions with the statement and the path that we want to pursue. The tensions came up when we are talking about where to put the money. And it's a sort of investment allocations, and there are tensions, and perhaps the leaders sometimes, they don't forget the purpose, of course, because it's on a daily basis, and as you said before, every single thing that we do within the company has to deal with purpose. So the purpose is not put aside to do all the rest. It's always there, and it's always embedded onto everything you do. But when you try to allocate investments and there's a natural struggle, because somebody understands the importance or the relevance of that investment in the different way that the other one. But I think it's daily, is life, so is life happening.
Can I add something? Because it just came to my mind that I find also a bit of tension is quite healthy. Yeah. Because it keeps you up to your toes, it keeps you not to be complacent or to take everything for granted, right? It makes you stay attentive to what it all means in the environment you operate in and to people. And so I think after all, maybe back to your question, maybe it's sometimes quite good to have a bit of healthy tension as well on these.
I guess we need to make sure that we are stress testing it in the right way and that it is guiding us in the right way, because I guess we could get a little bit almost like romantically attached to a purpose that isn't driving us towards commercial success anymore. And then we don't have a purpose if we're not viable. I mean, I'm sure we've seen grassroots enterprises, non-profits, charities, so purpose-led, but so under-commercial, they just couldn't survive. So really, there is a kind of, like you said, there's a happy, healthy tension just to make sure that the purpose is getting you there along with all the other mechanics of business. I do want to sort of take us to the C-suite, though, because obviously we in this room are likely to feel the power of purpose because we can connect it to talent acquisition, employment, brand, our future trajectory, our performance objectives. But at the top of the organization, they might kind of go, I've got investors breathing down my neck. I've got shareholders bellowing for us to make changes. And we've seen some purposeful attempts be derailed by people in those positions by going, no, we're losing commercial edge. I'm thinking Danone. Off you go, CEO. You're too purpose-led. Let's get commercial again, right? So how do we make sure the C-suite are using purpose in the way that we are talking about and that it is influencing and shaping how they are, because we know they set a lot of tempos, they set a lot of agendas, and they hold a lot of power. So any thoughts on that would be great.
The C-suites are the ones that define the strategy. Yeah. So basically, if they are not aligned with the values of the company, probably we have a problem. And I would say that sometimes you should, you have to, as an HR head, you have to remind our colleagues what are the purpose and what do we want to reach, because sometimes they fly in the mayonnaise with the discussions about their own strategy. But I would say that here the HR play a major role on to bring them to the point that we want to raise and to guarantee that they are perfectly aligned with what you state for. Because otherwise you are doing something else that doesn't has nothing to do with your purpose, is my belief.
Yeah, I can actually build on this, because for me the C-suite, so the top management or top leadership of the company, they're the role models. It all starts there in the end. And they're the ones who have to build this unifying construct of strategy, vision, mission, and the purpose. And their behavior and their decision-making really guides the way. So, and that leads us also to the fact that we have to have that maybe also healthy debate on that table to make sure, what does it actually mean? And that's the part for me when I say we need to make the purpose actionable. And it should guide decision-making. And if we differ from that, I think we need to have a discussion about it. And we also, as HR, have the lovely roles to hold up mirrors where possible. So I think that's part of our role then as well. But we have to have the discussion, and sometimes it's also not so obvious. It's not, oh, this happened and this, it can be creeping in the organization, you don't really immediately get it. So I think part of that is to observe what's happening and bring the discussion back to the C-suite level. But I guess, or I hope it started there, because there, like you said, Marisa, this is where the whole construct of the strategic agenda and the purpose as such was built. So we have to make sure we live according to that as well. So basically, same.
I can only confirm what has been said. Purpose is making part of the strategy, and the C-suite are responsible for implementing the strategy. And when designing or defining the North Star, I call the North Star, we even answered the question on how are we going to get there, because we identified a couple of pillars, strategic pillars, that we need to execute. One of the pillars, by the way, is people. And we also then have our cultural values that are supporting this quest to the North Star.
I love the fact that you use the word quest there. If you're familiar with the Iroquois nation, they are very famous for the way they set their future. They have their 7-generation rule, which is what you do now will affect somebody for the next 7 generations. And they also have a concept called a dream quest, which is what they dream is a telling thing that they should look into enacting. Now, I'm not suggesting that we go to sleep and have a dream and then start to build that into our strategy, although I'm sure I've heard some CEOs say, when I woke up, I had this flash of inspiration, and that's what I took to the board. Anyway, so that may happen, but I just wanted to kind of pull on that thread that Stephanie talked about there, the authentic nature of purpose, the actionable nature of it, and how that links then to an agenda. I mean, I think if there's something where people might be critical of purpose, they might say, it's all a bit Disney movie, it's all a bit fairy tale, it's all a bit aspirational, it's all a bit brand representation. And if you haven't got a purposeful organization, like how very dare you exist if you haven't got a purpose? But I guess some people find it difficult to articulate a noble sense of something. If you're in refuse collection, how do you describe the purpose? Well, if we didn't have people collecting refuse, we'd be a pretty dirty society, wouldn't we? So there's nobility in everything, isn't there? And I guess what I'm hearing from you is that strategy is a way we make that actionable, but purpose guides us. So I've just got one more question to put to you, so I'm hoping that this might really help bring this to life then. What does it do for us externally? How we describe our purpose, how we position it, what does that do for us outside the confines of our own organization? What do you think about that?
I think I mentioned it already. Purpose is one also communicated and highly important for the external world. The investors are really looking at the purpose and how we also live upon the purpose. Same for the financial analysts, same for the shareholders. So yeah, I cannot say much more than that. It's rather obvious that it has an impact.
No, I would agree with all the stakeholders that Anthony mentioned. It would be the same in the steel industry as well. There's with ESG's demands, sustainability, the whole decarbonization, everything, safety, everything we do, is under high scrutiny of all the stakeholders. And on top, I go to employees. I think the purpose there is even an enabler. Because nowadays we find a lot that people would like to make a contribution to a higher meaning, and they want to know what a company is doing and why they exist. A pure job doesn't make the fulfillment anymore. So for us, we work very heavily with the purpose to enable the attraction in the market. But also we know we get a lot of, as HR, I also part of the investor roadshows, there's a lot of questions that go to that. So I think purpose helps us to define us, to define why we exist, but also, gives us the leverage to really attract talents and make sure also that we answer the questions and the demands of the future, and also what we want to stand up for.
Yeah, in addition, I just would say that, of course, the investors are much more interested in know how the business is run, who are the leaders that we will have in the pipeline in the future. So they have a bunch of questions and concerns relating to how the business really work, and to feel, and they feel the need of guarantee that what the company is publishing is the way that the company really live. For the customers, they are a sort of ambassadors if they believe in you, or derailers if they don't. So it's very important for this perspective. Also, when you want to attract talent, we know that if the way that you communicate your employer branding, it's quite important for the ones that you want to attract, and they can realize if they've made the fit with your organization or not. So I would say you cannot have two separately worlds. So the world that you live sort of a purpose and the way that you communicate, you have to be embedded into the company and outside the company.
Great. So I think we're all sold on that, aren't we? There's definitely something about purpose, not just being a kind of one-off, episodic, we haven't done it for a while, let's revisit it type thing. But it's a very regular touch point on who you are as an organization, why you're here. Like, why would people believe in you? And then to the point of Stan, his talk this morning, what does your culture think about it? Do you know what I mean? It feels like it's another example of something that might be considered a little bit ethereal or even esoteric or wispy or vague, but has more power than mechanics and process, because it really can make a difference, can't it? I don't know about you, but I kind of feel a bit almost like, again after that. So thanks, panel, for your time and attention, and it'd be great if you can show appreciation for our lovely panel. Thank you very much.